the January transfer window and the state of play, because Conte's had a few interesting comments about what the club are looking to do in the January transfer window, and there's some interesting reports from Ali Gold. So Conte has been quoted in this press conference saying that, let me bring the quote up. Let me see if I can bring it up on here. It's Fabrizio Romano's tweet today. Can you bring up the phone? So this is Conte saying, Conte on January signings: we will try to do something, but we have to follow the club's vision. Tottenham want to invest on young players, as we did with Kulusevski and Bentancur, talents but with accessible salaries. This is what we'll try to do. There are some comments. First of all, from Jaco Cat saying, I don't see where the problem is in this. Our best signing were exactly those type of players: Bentancur, Romero, and Kulusevski and Udogie. The only problem is we need to actually spend the money and bring those players in. But there's people who are obviously commenting. There's Dan saying Enoch out, Zeus saying Sai, he's not happy with it. Blues Face says now every club wants the structure. Barnaby says here's the club vision, and a picture of Dye, Davis and Sanchez. Radmore says Spurs fans crying about this, but look how it's currently working down the road. Also, we literally signed 33-year-old Perisic in the summer. If the right player comes along for Conte with a reasonable salary, then I'm sure we will sign them. So a lot of mixed reaction to those comments from Antonio Conte. Ali Gold today as well, saying despite his he says Conte knows Tottenham can't dither and rely on what they already have in January, despite his public words. Conte is desperate for new faces that will improve the squad. Before I get on to your comments on that, we have super chats. Let's read a few of them. Sava talks.
Big up Sava.
He's specifically talking on this situation, so I think I waited to read it until we discussed it. He says, unpopular opinion, Spurs need a master reset. New owners, new director of football, new manager, new head of academy. All start on the same page and have a plan. Owners are awful. Conte isn't a manager to build with, and youth is poor. Now, looking at these comments from Conte, I'm happy. And I'm conflicted about them. I can see both sides of it. On one side, Conte isn't usually a project manager. He, according to Ali Gold himself, he doesn't like to develop youth players. He likes youth coaches to do their job, in terms of when he brings in youth players, they need to be ready for the first team before he uses them, rather than him developing him himself and stuff like that. We knew what Conte was before we brought him in, and we knew that if we were to bring him in and we're going to make this work, we're going to have to satisfy the players that he needs, and we're going to have to bring them in, and we're going to have to get the right profile players for Conte. On the flip side, we did bring in Kulusevski and Bentancur, two young players who, at the time, he said these are young players, who fit the club's philosophy, and a lot of people are unhappy about that. But these are probably two of our best signings of recent times. We have also signed, as one of the comments said, we have signed Ivan Perisic, which is definitely a Conte signing, and 33-year-old. That was definitely a signing to satiate Conte. When we're looking at a project, should Conte be more? By the way, just saying, by these quotes, he says this is what we'll try to do. So he seems to be working with the club. He said on a number of times that he has a good relationship with the club and specifically with the board. So should Conte be looking to work within our parameters and try and find compromise to try and find these players like Bentancur and Kulusevski, who are young, who have high ceilings, and look what Arsenal are doing. They've kind of doing that project. Young players who they're bringing through, who have very high ceilings, and they can build that team together. Should he be looking to do that if he wants to be a success here, or should we be should we be saying whatever you want, you get? There is no, we should be spending however much money we want to spend. Doesn't matter if you're signing old, experienced players who might be done in a couple of years. We should try and get as many of those players as possible, and go forward in that vision, and with the knowledge that in 2 years a lot of these players might have to be upgraded on. What kind of should Conte be looking to work more in a long-term vision and stand by that, or should we know what Conte is? He's not a long-term vision manager, and we should know what we're dealing with in that sense, and just try and make him happy while he's here.
Well, first of all, when you bring in managers like Mourinho and Conte, you know their MO. You know what they do. You hire them based on what they've done in their past, like in all walks of life. So you know what you're getting with Conte. I actually retweeted that Fabrizio Romano tweet with a picture of Stevie Wonder saying that this guy has more footballing vision than the Tottenham Hotspur board. You can't keep doing this. Like with Dele Alli, we thought we struck gold. Look what happened. This doesn't always happen. And I love how it goes from buying young talent once for the future, but we never have the managers to play them in the future because that manager's gone, or two managers are gone, then they've got players they don't want. It's either we get them really, really young, or we use that term old and experienced, like a Perisic. Why not go sign a 26-year-old, a 27-year-old, a 28-year-old that may cost a bit of money? Why has it got to be either you're at the start of your career or you're like Perisic at the end of your career? There's a whole pool and range of players there that you can do. And this board and this ownership haven't realised that if you attack the issue you're trying to solve with quality, you won't need to keep spending money to replace the players that you've missed. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand how this club can come out and say we're trying to work within the vision. We have no vision. The vision we have is to build skyscrapers, to build cinemas, to host events, to have the NFL, to have Anthony Joshua, to have Tyson Fury, and all the. That's the vision. That's the vision. And sign all these sponsorships, all these partnerships. No money. We're working on a budget. We can't. There is no vision at this club. And the sooner people start realising this and see that why, again, I'll go back to it, we either buy them very, very young, but when we do buy them very, very young, what we're doing is stopping the people like Alfie Devine, like Lancaster, and all the young prospects that we do have coming through, Harvey White. We're working for you to get you in the first team. Oh, no, we're going to sign youngsters, so you go even further back. Or we're going to sign at the other end of the spectrum that are end of their career. They're just a stopgap. They're just a quick fix. It's enough. And I was on a stream with Sava last week, and I don't know if the person that said this was in the comments. What I'm finding with Conte now, and it was bang on the money. Someone said if you look at it like I have to through sobriety and everything, you have the 12 steps. Antonio Conte right now is at the acceptance level, which is like, yeah, all right, whatever. We all thought Antonio Conte was going to come in and call this board out and not stand for this and shout and scream and demand. And I am in a categorical state now. I don't expect, Levy out people don't expect every single target that Antonio Conte or other manager wants. You're living in dream world if you think you're going to be successful and get every single one of them. But compete for them. Go in for players. Go in. Put a bit. We wanted Bastoni. He doesn't want to come to it. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave. How do you know? Did you put a bid in? Did you put an official bid in so Inter Milan accept it and then you talk to the player? No.
I think a lot of the time nowadays in modern day football, how usually there's conversations between agents and the players and stuff before an official bid comes in. I don't think clubs usually make bids without having knowledge that they're the players wanting to come.
But there's the thing. If you put that bid in, and so let's just say with just a player who's like, oh, I don't want to go to Tottenham, but then you have a bid accepted, you go over. Surely, listening to Antonio Conte and his vision, not the club's vision, his vision, will be like, oh, mate, this sounds interesting. I get it. And like what Newcastle and other clubs do, they hear what the vision is and they know that the board are with them. Like what's going on with the filth right now. Then you go have a look at that stadium, which is an architectural masterpiece. You look at the training ground, and you think with a player that's coming in there, I don't know, Champions League, Antonio Conte, best stadium in the world, best training facilities, and they're still going to say, now I've seen it. How do you know? How do you know unless you get that opportunity? But we can't do that. We can't do that. We won't do that. And working in within this wage structure, we hear this all the goddamn time. If we're going to compete, things have to change.
It's interesting. I feel like Tottenham at the moment have a bit of like an identity crisis about what we want to be, because we obviously, like, when you don't have, well, supposedly, let's say it's a given that we can't spend like Man City and Newcastle now with their big salaries, and Man United and whatever. How do you, if you can't outspend them, then you've got to be smarter than them. How do you be smarter than them is getting a manager with a certain way of playing, with a forward-thinking philosophy for attacking football, getting young talent which are ahead of the competition, ahead of the game, spotting these talents and getting ahead of the competition and promising them game time and building them up together. And that's what we do with Pochettino. That's what a lot of the time is how we got ahead of the game during that project. Obviously, we had him for 5 years. We had relative success in terms of where we were from before that. Obviously, we didn't win anything, but that's what you do when you're building a project. You mold it, everyone together, and when you're looking at a long-term project. But the problem with Tottenham is we've been through that. We now have Antonio Conte at the helm right now, who's a manager who is almost he's come in at the end of a cycle for our previous project, and now he's either been tasked or with improving what he currently has to a stage where we can compete, and he's also now kind of starting a new project in a way. But he's not a guy is he a manager who you want at a start of a project, because he's not really a project manager. He's a manager you come in with a very good squad, and he's tasked with getting the best out of that squad. But right now we don't have a squad which is capable of winning now, but because we don't have the money, we can't go and outspend our competition.
You do have the money.
No, I'm saying money that City and
sure,
City
sure.
Newcastle, because we can't outspend them, we have to be smarter than them. But by being smarter than them, we have to have a project. But now we have Conte, so you see what I mean? It's kind of not functioning at the moment. It's kind of like we're not sure what we are. Are we a project team which needs to be smarter than the opposition to kind of outsmart them and get ahead of them with young players and with a philosophy manager and build something, or are we a team that wants to compete right now and win right now, and have Antonio Conte here, and by doing that we need to have players right now ready to compete, and by doing that we need to outspend very quickly, because if you want to win quickly, you need more money, but we're not in a position to outspend our rivals. So it's a kind of disconnect. I don't know what we're trying to be, and right now it's kind of like we want both things. We want to be a project with Conte here. And there's kind of there's something that logically doesn't quite connect there. I don't know, where does it all end? Is Conte really going to change, not change his ways, but is he going to adapt and become part of this project, or is it going to all end in tears, or are we going to back him? I'm not sure where it heads. Logic states it's all going to end in tears. It's going to,
mate. It's going to end in tears. Listen, you look at it, and I'm going to use Liverpool and the signing they made yesterday. Liverpool had one of the worst starts of their Premier League history, or recent history. And Liverpool, who are looking for new owners, have said, right, what can we do to help you? You've got two long-term injuries in Jota and Diaz. What can we do? I'll tell you what. Let's go get a youngster who had a blinding World Cup, and let's move before anyone gets a sniff of it, and chance and wrap it up and do it. We've been speaking about our kamikaze, pathetic, abysmal defence. We should be acting ahead of the pack and go, do you know what? We've just put a bid in for Milan Skriniar. Bang, there we go, in he comes. And I'm using Skriniar as an example.
There's no reason, though, or just on that example, for example, Pedro Porro, we know the price.
Yep,
we know it's a position. We know, apparently, we like him. We're clearly interested in him. There's no reason why that deal couldn't be done already if we weren't haggling to get every million off, basically.
Exactly. Look at. We talk about how quick that Gapco thing happened. You and me are talking about. Within an hour, he broke it for Romano. Within an hour, here we go. We desperately needed a right wing back, and look how long Jess Spence started. It's 5 million apart. It's 4 million apart. It's 1 million apart. They want it in this. They want it in that. Levy wants this. They want that. We had a month to plan here. And you didn't even look at 30. I think it's 37 million Gakpo's gone for. That's not big money when we're talking about it. And that's quality. Quality. But instead of striking before anyone gets a sniff of anything and doing things, like I said, Porro's the perfect example. Skriniar, whose contract is coming up at the end of the season. There are players out there that you can make a move for right now ahead of the pack. But no. We need to sign some 4x4s. We need to do all this. We still haven't got Conte's contract sorted, Kane's contract sorted. Kane's getting older, Son's getting older, Lloris needs replacing. The defence is a shambles. But hey ho, let's just carry on.
So what are we? Do you believe? So the question is, basically what Sav was saying. Do we need to change everything?
Yep.
And does that include but if we do change everything, does that include the manager?
I've said
and
this.
And then start a whole new project, or do we say, we're still in fourth position. We've still got some very good players, and we just need some big investment on some big players rather than a whole new project.
So I've said this.
It's difficult.
I've said this many a time. There isn't a question you could ask me where you say this happens and ENIC leave that I will ever say no to. I don't care if it's relegation. I don't care what it is to get them out. There is not a question that you could ever ask me where I will say the question will end and ENIC leave that I will ever say no to. It's gone. We're getting beyond the stupid levels here now, and things have got to stop, and we need to stop this.
Well, the window's not even open yet.
The window's not even open. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the goddamn January window, and it's a week before it opens. Sick of it.
Let's read through some super chats here. First from Azad
Just
Hamid.
to go to the bathroom.
No problem. I'll read through the super chat. Says Azad Hamid says ridiculous. Apparently the manager is coming out saying he is happy with the defence. Ridiculous. He's clearly not the man for the job. Conte out. Michael Hellman says the club is my joy and my ruin. This community mitigates my frustration. Hashtag come on you Spurs. Kev Williams says 5th league game in a row we've conceded the first. Poor. I think it's more than that. Isn't it 9 league games in a row? I think it's 9 games. Maybe it's 7 out of 8 in all competitions. But I think in the league, I can't remember the first time we scored the opening goal in the league. It's been a long time. Lee Richards says we've got a great manager working miracles at our club, taken squad that's not even top 8 squad into top 4 last season and got us there again this season. Get behind Conte folks and demand Levy backs him. I'm kind of leaning more in that. But the problem is then it's not going to work with this board because this board wants to clearly start a new project, and I'm happy to sign young players and stuff like that, which is fine, especially if they're going to be the quality of Bentancur and Kulusevski. But we also need players who are ready to compete right now if we're gonna have Conte be here, and maybe that's where the disconnect is at the moment, and I don't know where it's gonna head. Brian Churnit, my grandpa, big up to grandpa. He says, please be positive. We are doing lots right. Football is getting a mental problem that keeps the players positive. It does not help shouting at them. And Jay says, completely agree with Brian. Yeah, I agree. I think we have to try and be more positive when we're at the games and stuff. And I think the conversation surrounding this club, I think a lot of people are turning very negative very, very quickly. And I do agree with that. And I think positivity, especially from the stands, definitely does help. And I was at the game yesterday, and there was fans sitting right in front of me, and every second they're saying F this player, F that player, and it doesn't help anything. And even when we scored, he was still complaining. And I never feel like that it helps encourage the players. But I can also understand sometimes frustration with some fans when they've seen the same thing so many times, and the players aren't getting some players anyway don't seem to be getting any better, and that's where the frustration happens. But I did read your super chat, Azad, didn't I? Yeah, I did. But what do you reckon about this from Azad Hamid? Says ridiculous. Apparently the manager is coming out saying he's happy with the defence. He's clearly not the man for the job. Conte out.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen that, and it baffled me. It baffled
but
me.
he's not going to come out and say, look, I think he's been very. I think he's been. We've known he wants upgrades in his defence, and the fact that he's saying we have good centre backs and things like that. I mean, what do you want him to say? Yeah, our defence is rubbish.
No, don't expect him to say that. Listen, we all know. I think his outburst against Burnley, when it all started after the Man City win, when we lost 1-0, that interview caused ripples, and he's been blatantly told to rein it in interviews. I understand he can't come out and criticise the players, and apparently from reports he was absolutely apoplectic yesterday with the defence and was going mad. But you can say, listen, we're looking at areas of strengthening. This is an area we need to look at. But to say whether it's a play that he's playing with Levy, whether it's him trying to give the carrot rather than the stick, I don't know. But it's just a bizarre comment to me.
Jake says Ali Gold has just said that behind the scenes that Conte is livid with the defending. So it doesn't seem to be. Maybe it's something more about more with PR than it is with actually how he feels.
Maybe it is, but then again, if he is livid. And he's making these, and you've got to listen. Daniel Levy is watching this shit, and if he is honestly thinking, "Oh, this defence is going to keep me in the top 4. This defence is going to end our trophy drought. This defence is a-okay," then he's more delusional and stupid than I even gave him credit for. If he is livid with this defence, like I said, like Gapco, like Nkunku for Chelsea. Go get a player. Go sign defenders now. Go put bids in before January, just like Liverpool did, like we were saying before. Yes, they did the work in the summer with Virgil van Dijk. New Year's Eve, phone on to Southampton. How much do you want? 75 million. Bang, 75 million. New Year's Day, he's at Anfield holding a scarf. That's what big clubs do. That's what big boys do.
And yeah, I think that's also kind of why a lot of fans are getting a lot of anxiety currently at the moment, because of teams around us like Liverpool and Chelsea have made some big moves already before the window's even open, and we seem to be deciding whether to send Hilal on loan or not, and that's what we're basically that's basically what we're interested in. Gakpo and Nkunku, as you say, two big transfers to two of our rivals who are not sitting back and waiting for things to happen. They're going and doing things.
Exactly.
That's always been a big issue with how we operate, is we're never proactive enough. We're never on the front foot. We never get ahead of the competition, usually anyway. We usually wait. We're very reactive, wait for other clubs to make their moves, and we hoover up whatever's left, basically. Yep. And I think that is a bit outdated in terms of it might have worked. I mean, you can't even argue it did work, but it might have got a few good deals over the line in the past. But I think in this day and age, with so many clubs vying for similar positions now than we are, similar goals to us, we need to be much more proactive than we are doing. We need to have things in place as soon as possible. And I know it's difficult because everyone's in the same boat right now, it seems. And it's difficult to get these players, but at the moment we seem to be lagging behind in these deals, and we need to be ahead of the competition, not lagging behind. And it's always been the case with this board, and whether that'll change while they're here, I mean, it's hard to believe it will.
Yeah, I know. You got to say, for every good deal that we have, I could probably, and I think everyone in the comments, and yourself, Simeon, and even non-Tottenham fans, for every good deal we've got over the line, could probably name in the region of 10 to 15 bad ones for every good one.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Good business, that is.
By the way, the link is in the community section for all members to come join on. I want to know fans' opinions on where the club's at in the game yesterday and everything we're talking about when it comes to Conte and the January signings and the vision of the club. What do you make of Conte's comments when he says he has to work within the vision and of the club's vision, signing on players and stuff like that? So the lines are open. I want to know what fans think. Come join us, join the rendezvous link in the community section if you want to come on and have your say. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very difficult right now when it comes to it's very difficult when it comes to the rival clubs, how they're how they're performing right now in January and getting ahead of the game. And I don't know for Tottenham right now. I think for me, I don't like a lot of people complaining about Conte and our style of football over the last few weeks and stuff, and before the World Cup, because we keep going behind and it's been, some moments it's a bit turgid, but then late in games, we're turning it around and it's all right. But a lot of people are starting to turn on Conte a bit in terms of the football we're producing. But Conte, when he first came in, was getting good levels out of these players, but he hasn't been able to sustain it. So for me, it's more on improving the quality of the squad and serious investment, rather than saying, look at this squad, it should be playing a lot better than it is. I just think a lot of these players were playing above their quality, and now they're reverting to type a bit.
So can I just very quickly read? Bob Spurs just messaged me.
Yeah.
Said, can you read this out, because he's driving home. So Bob, Superman, you are listening. So he said, we can't have a vision without longevity. A vision requires a goal, and Lenik have none. And so all those who say Lenik have done all business side correct are completely wrong. They've bought a football club, yet have consistently failed to better the main product, the football team. We don't have an identity crisis. We have no identity. I think that's bang on the money. Well said,
if we have no identity, that is an identity crisis, isn't it?
Either way. Everyone gets what he's saying. I get what he's saying, and I completely stand by it.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, to an extent, because before Enoch and Levy came in, we'd never been in European football in the Premier League era, I don't think, and now we're
that's a bit hard because Sugar. Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, you're right.
Maybe we were there once in the 90s, and we got knocked out with 99, and then we got knocked out by Kaiserslautern the first time of asking. Now, European football is so regular for us, we don't even look at it as an achievement. So you can't say he hasn't improved. Like, from that point of view, you can't say things haven't improved on the pitch ever since he's taken over. But we know that we don't really push on when we need to, and that's the big issue with them.
Like I said, it's all well and good being in Europe, but it's the finances that are increasing. How many trophies have we won in Europe? We've been to one final. We know how that ended. Constant amount of time in Europe. With that money coming in, that should be strengthening the team to take the team to the next level. Has it? No.
Apparently some breaking news on
oh, God.
Tanguy Ndombele. Napoli to hold a meeting with Tottenham in London in the coming days to attempt to negotiate the option to buy for Ndombele and complete a permanent deal. That's good news, isn't it?
Yeah. If there's one man you don't want to attempt to negotiate with,
it's Daniel Levy. And that's also, well, by the way, another frustration for me is we were told that Levy was going to take this step back and he wasn't going to be involved as much, and Paratici was going to take the reins. But it does feel like as if that isn't as true as they made out to be.
And I have to say, and Simeon, you know this, myself, Danny, Ryan Isaacs, Bob Spur, Sava, Stell, Henry Wright, Rez, Barry, Nick, Sean, Phil, all the people that have stalked Levy out have said this all along. All along. Now, I get a lot of grief in comments on this channel, on the YouTube, and every single time, it may take a while, but it comes back to what I said has happened again. And here we are again.
Well, nothing's happened yet.
He's not taking a step back. Exactly. There's been no change. There's no change. There's no step back.
But January's not even there.
Oh, mate, don't start that, Tim. Don't
stop.
Hey, mate, we know what's going to... I can't wait to speak to you at the end of January. I can't wait.
You might be right, and you probably will be right. But the fact of the matter is, January isn't open yet. So can we say that it's all fallen apart before it's even they've had an attempt to do anything? And I know, and this is coming from a person who's frustrated with the fact that Chelsea and Liverpool have made big moves already, and we have not. And that is, and I'll tell you, I'm very frustrated by that. But can we say it's all fallen apart before it has?
History repeats
You're
itself.
predicting it will fall apart, and you're getting angry because you predicted it.
my heart overhead again.
Because because you can see further forward, and you might well be right. But the fact of the matter is, we could announce a signing tomorrow. Like, we don't like, you know, January hasn't opened yet. We don't know yet. I'm not saying you can only make your judgments on 31st of January, but like I think you can.
No, I
make
know where you're
judgments
coming
leading
from.
up to it, but you know, the window hasn't opened yet, and they need to have a chance to see. I want to see what they're going to do at the moment, but I agree, it's very frustrating, and it's not great at the moment, especially after a bad result yesterday. It makes me feel worse.